We just talked to Coach Franklin a little bit about it. What he said at Media Day, it's year 11. He doesn't want to reinvent the wheel in any position necessarily, but how do you feel like you're meshing with what they were already doing here on defense, and what kind of wrinkles do you want to bring into it?
Yeah, I think it was an important process, to be able to do a good job of meshing, the good things that we felt like that they've obviously been doing here for the last couple of years for sure, and even beyond that, but especially the last couple with the guys recruited to that style of system. So you want to be able to continue to, highlight those things, but also be able to bring the things that I, believe in and know and want to make sure we can have a good playing. So I was really just praying for wisdom to be able to know how much, of each, and I think that'll be revealed here in about 20-some days. But at the same time, I think there's no magic defense. There's no magic system. The magic's in the players and their belief and their execution. So to me, that's what I wanted to make sure I did a great job. And as you know, the whole staff of all the field coaches were all the same, and so I was the only new one on the field. So that to me was another reason why, just to really do a good job of listening to them, So we obviously met a whole bunch, once we got off the road from recruiting, and then just started kind of piecing it all together, and then did some things in the spring, and some things that we did, kind of decide if you like them, don't like them, kind of tweak some of those a little bit, continue to mesh things together. And so it's been a process for sure. It's still ongoing for sure, but I think that the guys have really picked it up well, and there's going to be some changes, but at the same time, when like they say, if it's not it's not broke, you want to make sure you do a good job of doing the things that help it get better.
I know Deion's pretty young, but the rest of the coaches on that defensive side of the ball have been around for a while. How much did that help with the transition? And when, as you said, you were kind of the new face, you have guys who are veterans who have been in this for a long time.
There's no question, and I leaned on them heavily. Dex and Terry, just guys that know football and also know just multiple systems they've been a part of, and kind of because the thing for me is always the why behind what we're doing and why we're doing it the way it is right now. And because they were here during that, last several years, that was actually probably the biggest. Even Dan Connor, for me as a linebackers guy, and he's in our room, and he's been huge for me to be able to lean on him, because he really understood the things and the reasons for the things we were doing, currently. And so I think that a bunch of great coaches here, and it's one of those things. It's not about me, it's about us, and we decided, and Coach was great about this, hey, what's best for Penn State? And that's been the theme for the whole process, and not what is best for me or easiest for me coming in new. Easiest thing is just bring your stuff in and just install it, but what's best for the players, what's best for Penn State, so that's been the goal.
We've heard a lot about Tony Rojas. A lot of the players were talking about him. What could you tell us about him as a player? We haven't seen a ton of him.
No,
and what does he kind of bring to the table?
He's big. He's 240 pounds. Obviously, he's gained a lot of good weight and gotten faster, which is a testament to him and his work and our strength staff and all that they do. And Coach Losey does a phenomenal job. And so I think you're going to see a combination of speed, a really good athlete. I think you can see from year 1 to year 2 just growing as a in the box linebacker, understanding how that fits and how you take on blocks and angles, and but the physical traits, those they flash, and that's what you want to have, a system where the guys, those physical traits can be accented, and they're able to shine because they're not inhibited by too many things that going on in their head. So I think that's a guy like that's young. He's still young. He hadn't played a lot of football collegiately. So, and I think that he just brings a lot of range, unbelievable work ethic. He's going to keep growing in his verbal leadership. That's tough when you're young, and I don't even expect as much from him from that as I would even a guy like Kobe that's been here is viewed as one of the leaders of our whole team. And so, but for him as a linebacker, that eventually needs to be a next step for him. But right now it's a matter of, hey, just making sure you master your responsibilities. But you're just going to see a big physical guy that can run really, really well, and I think has a really good set of work habits that allow him to be elite.
Coach, you've now actually seen these guys practice in person. Now that you're not just relying on tape, who's popped in person that maybe you didn't see on tape?
Yeah, that's a great point, because sometimes you just rely on the certain guys you expect to, and you kind of rerun those. And I think for me, having watched these guys, on film, coached against them, and now seeing them practice, Tamir Robinson's one that I would say didn't really know much about him at all. I don't think he played, much, and so I know he didn't play in the games that I was a part of, and so he, to me, has really elevated himself. I think Colin Dinkins is a guy that has, even his last several days, has really continued to elevate his play, and he's a guy that didn't have a role at all. Now he's a guy in the mix, and he's going to have an opportunity to be in those positions. I think AC, David Collins, is another one that has really didn't see him on film last year, but really had a great spring. But I tell you what, that room is so competitive that he has had to have. You got to stay on your game every day, and to me that's a huge thing. And to me that's just guys like that stick out. I think Dom DeLuca is just a really good football player. And it's in both phases. I know he's played in the past, but to me, just being such a savvy, moxie guy that makes a ton of plays. And Mean Vanover's another one that hasn't played probably a lot, but I think even these last 2 days has even flashed more. So we need those guys that come in and just elevate their play. And there's a lot more guys I could probably name, but it's just about it's a whole group of guys bought in, playing at a high level.
Do you find that coaching against Penn State has been valuable scouting for your team now?
I think so. I think that, and just in general across the board, I've been in this league for 8 years, and so the teams you're going to be playing against and coached against them, and the schemes they're going to run, and their personnel, and those kind of things, and then the players that you see. And I've even been able to take a perspective of, hey, even for me, when I talk to guys, hey, when I saw you and when I was on the other side of it, evaluating you, this is what I thought. And just to motivate, to encourage, to challenge, what I think they need. And so I think anytime you have some familiarity with anything situationally, I think it helps you be able to bring more positive to the situation.
Knowing that it's still relatively early, this change to be able to focus on coaching ball, has it been what you hoped it would be, expected it to be now that we're about a week in the training?
Yeah, I would say, I can't even begin to tell you just the difference of just being able to go up in there and just close the door and just watch a ton of film. And don't get the phone calls about dealing with something. Don't get people coming in and, gotta go do this, gotta go do that. So it's what I hoped it would be, and I feel like that. I guess probably sometimes you don't know for sure until you go do it, but I would definitely say that, I'm a big film guy, and I was probably one of the, besides the time with the players, relationship with the players, the next thing that I really missed was that piece. And so, even last night, we didn't practice yesterday, but I'm just grinding through a lot of film, and I just think that I know I really enjoy it, and so I feel like I'm kind of back in my string zone.
For people who aren't in coaching, what are you looking for when you watch film? Without giving away secrets, but when you put stuff on, what are the things that you're looking for?
Well, when I'm watching our guys, it to me is really about I want to be able to figure out what our guys naturally do well. So like even we have a scenario where we're like, hey, let's as a coaching staff, how are we going to handle this type of thing the offense is doing? I said, okay, guys, let's let our players watch that play and see what's the first thing that comes into mind. Or we did this yesterday or 2 days ago where we say, hey, let's don't tell them anything. Let's see how they react on the field when it's live. And so I go, okay, guys, this is what they naturally did. If we feel good about it and it's sound, let's do it this way, because that's what they. So I think you're looking for those things when you're looking at your own team. And then when you're watching an opponent, to me, it's so much about, I'm looking for, because coaching tendencies, play caller tendencies, especially this time of year, just watching our future opponents as we've done all this whole spring and summer, just taking notes on the things that I'm just looking for. Any edge I can give to our backers, because to me the backers got to have that little something formationally, a certain players type of things he does where it's a quarterback and hey, when he's flushed, this is how he exits, just instinctively what he's going to do against us, because that's just what he does. And so, and whatever, there's a myriad of things, and there's a lot of formational things that you're looking for, and I find that coaches are pretty true to those, and then when you learn to watch long drives, you learn the personality of the play caller. And so that's why I like to focus on long extended drives throughout games. I really take note of what do they like to go to, and you'll see patterns. So I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for things that's going to give me an edge on game. That's why the volume of film study is huge, and that's the one thing I always say when you're a head coach. You don't have time to do that. Even when I was calling it at Indiana, that made it hard. when I became the head coach. And I did it for several years in that role, but I just never felt like I really had the time like I do now and like I did before I was head coach. But that's what I'm looking for.
Two more guys. I apologize if you were asked already, but KJ Winston, what do you remember about prepping for Penn State last year and seeing him and in the game, and how has he looked so far?
Well, the thing that stuck out to me was his size and his speed, which creates range. I mean, he's one of those where I watched him on film, thought he was a really good player. Then you watch him warm up, and you're like, dang, I mean, that kid's he's a good-looking dude. I mean, he's big, and he's got, he's well proportioned, and he's twitchy for his length, and he can flat out burst and close. And then you get here, and I see an unbelievable work ethic. I mean, I don't know if I just said as a coach the other day, I'm like, he might be the most impressive guy that I've seen in terms of understanding, taking care of his body, how you approach every walkthrough, how you approach every jog through, how you practice every single day. The consistent. He's a pro, and I think he's a pro that's on a mission. He's a hungry guy, and he's extremely hard on himself, and he's extremely hard on his teammates, which is a great thing. Some guys are good at holding themselves accountable, but they don't feel comfortable doing that to their teammates. Well, if you want to be a leader, you got to have that ability, and you got to earn that right to do that, and he has. And so I just see him elevating the people around him because he's not afraid to talk. And his standard for preparation, how he practices, how he watches film, how he holds himself up. Like even today, he had a great practice. And I focused on that one mistake that he made. He comes up to me afterwards, he was frustrated with that one, but that's him. He's got such a high standard for himself, and I think he's really, really special.
Tom, how would you describe yourself as a recruiter, and what do you think you learned most about recruiting just through head coaching?
Oh, I think the place I'm coming from, we had to really find the guys that, you could project. So you're just looking for qualities. You're looking for, personal things that are going to be indicators of future success, in their character and their work habits. And so getting to know the people. So to me, I was always so big on trying to build relationships with the people that know them every day, have been with them every single day. High school coaches, guys in their area, guys that are training them. Because it's, what does he do on a daily basis? Don't tell me all the great things he does on, like watching kids' highlight tape. You can put a highlight tape together for about anybody, make them look pretty good. But what is he like on a consistent basis? Things go his way, things go against him. So I don't know that unless I know somebody. So I work really hard. That's why we really we did a good job, I believe, of just trying to find guys in certain areas that we had built those relationships. We could try to find those guys that we thought we could take to this level, and they might be, ranked at a level, but get them to play at a way higher level, in a year or 2 or 3. So to me, there's just traits that you look for, and there's also work habits and the kind of person that you are when no one's around, and I don't know what that is unless I get to know somebody that's with him every single day. So to me, that's why relationships are so big in recruiting.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks.